Getting back with an ex can be simple. There's a few things you need to do. There are a few things you need to avoid. Sometimes getting back with an ex is very emotional and people think logically about getting back with the ex. Sometimes it's very logical to get back with an ex, but we tend to be driven by our emotions. I will explain in this video the simple thing you need to know if you want to get back with your ex. And when you do this thing, trust me, I can guarantee you, your ex will be running back to you. Jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
What happens right after the breakup? We all feel this. I felt like this in the past when I went through a breakup, when my ex-girlfriends at that time dumped me. We feel like this pain in the chest. Some people have sleeping disorder. Some people, I think most people feel the world is collapsing because everything that you knew, you took for granted, anything that you had with you is gone. And sometimes we create this obsession and want to rescue what we lost. A little bit when you drop something from your hands and you want to, grab it again. The last argument, or this argument, was different than the others. Perhaps you broke up in the past. Perhaps it happens that your ex sort of walked away and say like, I'm done with you, and they came back. But this time it's different. And what we want to do when we suffer from a breakup, which is a normal reaction, is we want to reduce the pain. And the logical thing to do, or what we think is the logical thing, is in order to reduce that pain, I need to get back with that person. So the sooner I get back with them, the shorter the amount of pain I will have to experience. But here is the hard truth. Read this carefully many times before you go to bed in the morning when you brush your teeth. Your relationship is dead. Your relationship is dead. And your only way to get back with your ex is to create a new one. That's the only way. That's what I do with my clients. I don't try to rescue what's broken. I create a new one. And in a way, that's probably the best thing that could have happened to you. That you're given this opportunity to create something new, something fresh. It doesn't feel like it. You really want to fix the broken relationship, to mend this relationship because you're attached to that relationship, right? But this relationship is dead. And you're perhaps in that phase of the grieving process very early on when you're not ready to accept that your relationship is dead. But I'm not saying that you will never get back with your ex. It's just acknowledging, accepting, which is the last stage of grieving process, as you perhaps know. Accept that this relationship is dead. So let's create that new one together. The concept of planned obsolescence. When you buy a phone or you buy any sort of tech product, and I think there's a lot of controversy about that, they kind of design it in a way that after a couple of years, it becomes obsolete. So if you buy a PC, then they're going to create new operating system to make that new PC, a new computer, or old computers not fast enough, not powerful enough to run the new operating system. And what you have to do, I'm saying this because in a way, sometimes we feel that we want our relationship to evolve. And if that relationship evolves, it dies, right? You don't want to be basically using an iPhone 1 today. Nothing would work. And that's perhaps the perception that your ex has right now, is that he doesn't want this relationship. It's not what initially it worked, but he or she felt that they evolved or that they did something different, and that this new thing, this different thing, they can't have it with you. They're obviously wrong, and we're going to work towards making that assumption and different sort of perspective on things. So what I'm trying to say is it's so fundamental, and a lot of people forget this, that it's important to grow as a person, it's important to grow as a partner. Very often I have people calling me, they've been married for 20, 25 years, and they realize that they haven't put the effort, they haven't really connected with their ex, with their wife or with their husband for many years. And they wake up one day and their ex is gone, their partner is gone, because they feel like we went on different paths for too long. Obviously there's like 50-50 in terms of the responsibility, because It's also about communication and expressing like, I feel that we're drifting apart. The earlier on you address those things, the easiest it is. But the breakup is usually, very often, so look at, we'll discuss how you should reflect on that, but it's potentially the result of that feeling of discrepancy. The idea that, I'm running an iPhone 14, I don't know which one is the latest one, and I feel that my relationship is iPhone 1. And so I want something best. I want something that will be in line with who I am. And I feel I grew and my partner didn't. Or I feel I need this life with more freedom and I feel my ex is preventing me from having this. When the breakup got the best of us, and I'm talking about the reaction that we all have when we are in love with someone and that person decides to end the relationship. We feel like self-esteem shattered. We are useless, we feel we're not good enough, we feel we're not gonna get anyone, we don't attract anyone, we go on Tinder and dating apps, we feel like nothing really equates to what I had. The feeling that we sometimes we're not adequate, we're like, it's my fault, I was unsuccessful with dating. And that creates this urge to cling. That creates this urge of like, I need to rescue, I need to connect with that person, I need to confront him or her. Because I've watched Alex's video and he said like I should change, I should be more secure, and I really want to scream that to my ex. I really want to show him or her like this is my new me, my version 2.0, right? The problem is the relationship is dead. And sometimes when you have this approach of like I need to explain, I need to show, I need to prove them, you don't create enough change, you don't create a new dynamic where your ex is not thinking, oh, she's trying to rescue an old thing, trying to fix an old iPhone. I don't know why I'm saying iPhone, I'm going to use this example for the sake of this video. I think it's a good one anyway, because when your ex sees that actually you're not trying to sell him or her the iPhone 1, but with, I don't know, a new screen, and showing him, no, I'm not new, I'm the latest iPhone X, whatever, 14 or 15, and I'm what you need. So when an ex is an ex, because sometimes it happens, even my clients, sometimes we are not successful, I'm not going to lie. You need to have enough history with your ex, knowing that they loved you more than anyone else. So sometimes we are deeply in love, and it happened to me in the past, you're deeply in love with someone, and you quickly realize that's not really reciprocated. The breakups usually are easiest in this way because it's really painful at the beginning, and then you realize like actually, well, she wasn't really into me. It's really hard because like I feel like crap, but maybe we were not good for each other. In that case, what needs to be changed? That's not you, it's the relationship. If you know that they fell in love with you, that they have had a special connection with you, they said things like, I've never been like this, I've never said something like this to anyone, I've never been like this with anyone before. If you know that they used to have short relationship, but with you they stayed 2-3 years, you know it's different, right? And so the problem is not you, it's the relationship, and that's what we want to change, and that's what can be saved, right? If you're not sure about whether an ex is an ex, whether your relationship has any chance of being recovered, have a look in the description. There's a link for you to take a quiz. The idea of this quiz is to ensure and to have an idea of how many chances you have of getting back with your ex. It's an indication. I'm not going to tell you if you have a score of 30, there's a 100% chance you'll get back together. But if you have a low score, it's actually not very likely that you're going to get back together. And if you have a low score, I would actually challenge you, if you want to work with me at getting back with your ex, I would probably not take you as a client because I really want, so first of all, I'm super busy, but I'm obsessed about the value and I'm obsessed about the journey and also what you can gain from coaching. So coaching is two-way relationship. I really want to add a lot of value, but also I really need to feel that I can bring that value if the dynamic, if the relationship itself can be saved. And so a quick word on the law of reversed effort is basically how do you catch a cat? You don't run after him. The more you try, the more you fail. I have a cat. My kids, it took them like 3 years to realize that if they ran towards the cat, the rat would run away. And now they understood that if you want to catch the cat, they need to call him nicely and gently, and the cat will come towards them. And that's the idea. Sometimes we fail to understand that we're not using the right method, the right thing, because it's very much an impulse. So don't be that stick that pokes, or the little like ping ping. I don't know if there's pokes anymore on Facebook where you like do like this, which is really annoying. You want to be a magnet that attracts your ex. You want to get them to come to you, and from that point, nurture that relationship and build that connection from the ground, because again, your relationship is dead. What you have to do is to build a new one. And so when you build a new relationship, you start from zero, knowing that your ex loved you before, so it's easier than zero. Life design. Really, the idea is to how can you align your life, your new self, to what your ex expects or wants or felt like he didn't get from the relationship. So what needs to change in your life? What you need to change job? You need to move to a new city? Do you need to, invest more time with your kids? What needs to change for your ex to feel like, oh, okay, his or her lifestyle is more aligned with what I expected him or her to do? What about your behavior? If you're an anxious person, how can you be more secure? If you're an avoidant person, how can you be more secure? How can you improve your communication as well? There's very often people fail to say what they think, or just because they are people pleaser and they would say yes when they think no. Some people would not talk because they don't know how. They are scared of conflict. They don't want to discuss, because they are scared of the other reacting in a certain way. Or sometimes people are they have anger management issues. So what are the things you need to learn for you to align yourself, your life with what your ex wants? If it's very simple, as I said at the beginning, it's very simple to get back with an ex. If you had something special, and if you ensure that you create a world where your ex will be happy, there's absolutely no reason why an ex wouldn't come back. They love the person you are, and they love the life you can provide, the relationship, the dynamic they can provide. So it's really thinking about those two things. So there's an element of personal growth, and there's an element of environment as well. Also, it's very important. It's not only creating the best the tastiest cake, but also the cake needs to look good. So one way to ensure that you express those things is to use effective communication. The problem I see, and actually it's probably the biggest problem, because it makes sense that you need to align yourself, your life with your exes, is about communication. You create the life that you want. You've changed job, you work out, I don't know, whatever. You're not angry anymore. And when you do, you feel like, okay, I tick that box. I need to run after my ex. I need to tell them, like, here it is. I'm the new iPhone 14 or whatever. The problem is that your ex is not ready yet. Your ex is assessing what he wants or what she wants. Again, we're starting from scratch, from zero. And that's why I didn't mention that, but that's why it's very important at some stage in the recovery to have a phase of no contact, radio silence, whatever. Really about how you can break the sort of make a clear cut between the old relationship and the new one. And so when you reconnect with your ex, they need to get used to that new person. They need to understand whether, is he faking it? Are you pretending? Is it real? Like, is it true that you're only working 8 hours a day because you used to work 12 hours and you said like your job was way more important than myself? I'm sure it's like just a phase, I'm sure. So they will always doubt the fact that you can do it because they probably assessed you before the breakup. And so obviously the effort you have to make is way bigger than if you had done that effort before the breakup. Remember, it took time probably for them to break up with you, and it will take time to get back with you because it will take time for them to reprocess, to reflect on things. the same way they took the decision probably 6 months ago. Not took the decision, but started to think about like, I may be better off alone. And they've assessed over time whether they should stay with you, fight, address. Perhaps they gave you some ultimatums, they argue with you, you had some fights and discussed about what could change. You didn't see those signs, fair enough. What they're going to do, they're going to do the same. And at some stage, they will give you a second chance for sure if you do the right things. If you manage also your emotions that I discussed and act in a certain and the right way. If you have any other questions and want my help, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. There are links in the description. If you found this video helpful, also don't hesitate to like. It does help me a lot. And subscribe as well. It does help me and helps the channel. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.